Once the muskrat is harvested, once he's got that pelt dried, he has options. He can sell it to a local fur buyer. He can ship to the auction house, which at this point there's one auction house in Canada that sells wild fur. He can have it tanned. He can make something out of it himself. He can put it in the freezer and wait for the market to improve. Most trappers like to get rid of their fur the season that they harvest it, unless the market's really depressed. Where I come into it now is I buy directly from the trapper. I pay based on my market information. He can say yes, he can say no. If he says no, his other option would be to either put it into storage or ship it to the auction house. When he ships to the auction, they have what they call a last receiving day. So all the fur has to be into the auction by that day, and it's usually 5 to 6 weeks ahead of the auction, because the auction house needs time to prepare the goods, get the catalogs ready, and set up the warehouse for the buyers to come in. And then they're sold. It takes, from start to finish, from inspection to the end of the sale is probably 8 to 10 days. And then they need time to process all that information with all the pricing and stuff, and then issue the checks and put them in the mail. So you're looking at, almost 2 months before you get paid. Whereas if you come into a private fur buyer, you get paid now. You don't have to worry about, and then at the auction house too, you don't know if it's going to be sold. I mean, it could sit and, be unsold for a season or two. And this way he's gone, he can move on. So, I mean, there are advantages to both. I mean, if you're on a rising market and you ship to the auction house and you hit that up in the market, you're obviously going to get a little more money than I would have offered you at the time you came to see me. So, but there are some guys that just don't want to wait. They just, this is what I got. Tell me what it's worth. Let's go. If a trapper comes to me with his pelts, first of all, they have to be put up properly. I mean, they have to be fleshed and dried and stretched to certain standards. All the fur that's harvested and put into the market, there are certain steps involved in getting it ready for market. So I would say almost every article, the first step is sizing. Sizing is very important because the price fluctuates by size. So as far as muskrats are concerned, the sizing, we start with what we call a triple extra large, a double extra large, an extra large, a large, a medium, a small, and an extra small. So you've got 7 sizes, okay? The sizes, and this is all industry standards, are measured from the tip of the nose to the lowest point here. So when you're stretching your rat, if this point is a little bit lower, that's where it's going to be measured to. So it's very important when you handle your muskrats to make sure that that's even across here. So you measure from the tip of the nose to the lowest side. Most muskrats today are going into headwear, certainly in North America. As I mentioned earlier, the RCMP, the police forces, I think even some of the guards in the jails all have muskrat hats issued for their winter wear. This hat was made locally here in Winnipeg. The other uses for muskrats, as I mentioned earlier, they're still being made into plates, which means they dress the muskrat, sew them into plates, maybe 3 feet by 6 feet, and then they cut those, they're like a piece of material, they cut them into liners and put them inside raincoats mostly. People make mitts, they're used for trimming, they're used in I would say mucklucks, trimming on the tops of the boot. Muskrat is used. Slippers, they cut the muskrat into strips and they sew trim along the top of the slipper. So it does have a bit more use than just headwear. But I would say right here in North America now, a lot of muskrats go into a hat.